Source of blessing, eternal our God, you fill the universe with majestic might, giving us life, upholding the life within us, and bringing us to this holy time. We continue on page 12. I'd like to ask for Roy Hoffman's help. If you can please read the responsive sections in each indented portion. To everything there is a season, and a time for every purpose under heaven.
This is the season of the soul, a time to rejoice, a time to reflect, a time to return.
Gather around the table with loved ones and friends, a time for song and silence, for prayer and confession to open the heart, a time to retreat to our sanctuaries within, a time to renew the life and spirit of our community.
This is the season of attentiveness, a time to notice what has unfolded and what has not, a time to regret, a time to forgive, a time to remember cherished dreams and high ideals erased by reality.
This is the season of hope, like mist rising at sunset, like dew descending at dawn. Our hopes beautify and nourish everything they touch. Our hopes make us partners in creation, pursuers of peace, people who aspire to a world of justice.
This is the season of awe. When our eyes behold it, may we feel blessed. When we turn toward each other, let us feel strength. We seek the holy, may we find purpose. May we find courage. May we find love.
Though those words were written a few years ago, they seem like they could have been written for exactly this time. We continue on page 17, that is page 17, with the words of Hineni. Here I am, so poor in deeds, I tremble in fear, overwhelmed and apprehensive before you, to whom Israel sings praise. Although unworthy, I rise to pray and seek favor for your people Israel, for they have entrusted me with this task. Continue on page 18, about 10 lines up from the bottom. May it be your will that my prayer reach your presence for the sake of the righteous and blameless, the honest and pure of heart. For the sake of your glory, you hear your people's prayer with compassion. Blessed are you, the one who hears prayer. We continue as we announce this new year on page 19. אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו ואמותינו, יהי רצון שנזכה לברכותיה בשנת 5581. אלוהי עולם, ברך אותנו ואת כל בית ישראל בחידוש ימינו, בשמחה ובשלום, בנחמה ובאומץ לב, בחילוץ עצמות וברוח איתנה. יהי פרי שפתנו מקובל ורצוי מלפניך, בפרוס השנה החדשה, לעד מודים אנחנו לך על מתנת החיים. I'd like to ask Carol Eberline to please read the English.
Adam Dodge.
Our God and God of our ancestors, may we know your blessings in this, the year of 5081. Eternal One, bless you and the whole house of Israel with renewed life, happiness and peace, comfort and courage, resilience and strength. May the words of our heart be acceptable to you in the new year that stretches before us. We are forever grateful for the gift of life.
Amen. We continue with our call to prayer, the Baruch on page 20. If you're able to and comfortable, I ask that you please rise. Even if you are in your slippers, no one will know. Please rise on page 20 for the Baruch. Please be seated. We continue on page 23. I'd like to ask Amy Friedlander to please read the quickening on the bottom of the page.
The quickening of the moon calls us to return, and we gather, seem dwellers on the edge of the earth. As the sun lowers itself into the sea, introspection rises. A sliver cracks the heart of the firmament, the vast blackness and invitation to write ourselves anew. Baruch atah Adonai hamariv abaravim.
Amen. Thank you. On page 26, we continue with the Shema. Please flip the page. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. On page 33, we continue. Michael Hallberg, if you can please read the bottom of the page.
You have stayed long enough in this place, God said. Time to go forward. Turn your face to the future. Believe that you can cross this sea and survive. Inside you is a Moses. Within you, Miriam dances, unafraid. Lift up your voice and sing a new song.
We join together for a song of freedom. As our ancestors walked through walls of water, so too has it seemed many of us have as well these past few days. We continue with Michamocha on the following page, 34. We continue on page 36 as we ask for God's protection in the evening. On the bottom of that page 36, Baruch atah Adonai hapoeh sukat shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim. Blessed One, you spread over us a canopy of peace, a shelter of shalom over all Israel, your people, and over Jerusalem. We continue with the words of Chetzi Kaddish on page 40. A few weeks ago, one day after my wife and I had stocked up on a lot of perishables at Costco, our refrigerator broke. A modern convenience you don't realize the importance of until it no longer works or until the power goes out, as many of y'all know here too well. Confronted with tons of groceries and literally nowhere to put them, my wife immediately thought of the refrigerators at the synagogue she serves, Temple Sinai. Sam and I loaded our cars and we drove there. It was an emotional experience. As we ascended the driveway, we passed the waving banners that still advertised events long since past, events that due to the pandemic never happened. Sam waxed nostalgic as she thought of all the profound memories we have had there. I caught her shedding a tear as I reminded her that it will all come back. She put the alarm code in the keypad and we opened the door. A building normally bustling with activity on Sunday evening, with learning and students and events, the lights were all off. We found the refrigerators all empty. One marked Family Promise, the hosting of homeless families they do there. The other marked Torah study, reminders of synagogue life abruptly put on pause back in March. Feeling pensive and nostalgic, we wandered the hallways, remembering so many moments in every inch of that building, the secrets, stories, and memories hidden in every corner, in every rock, in the playground, every pew of the sanctuary, at every desk in the classrooms. A holy place, a place meant to be used, much like this historic synagogue in which we now stand. When y'all offered me this position for the High Holy Days, it was on the condition that I come to Mobile and lead from the sanctuary. It seemed a bit strange given that it was all virtual, via Zoom for all congregants. Why not just let me lead from home? Why not just put a virtual backdrop of the sanctuary on my computer screen so folks could imagine seeing me there? Why navigate the hurricane and the flooding, the lost power when I could just do it all from Atlanta? Why? Because place matters. Even if the congregation could not be here, you wanted services led from your beautiful and storied sanctuary. And now that I'm here, I see and I understand why. While this pandemic has brought about so many changes to our lives, I found myself thinking about a common trope throughout the millennia of Jewish history. Tragic obstacles have often kept us from our sacred houses of worship. The destruction of the Second Temple, the story of Hanukkah, and the desecration of that temple, the night of Kristallnacht, synagogues burnt to the ground. And while, thank God, this building is in great shape even after the storm, it is overwhelming to see all of these empty pews. As I've walked through this historic building, I'm once again reminded that space matters, whether this sanctuary, the chapel, Abraham's tent that the religious school kids love to hang out in. On a personal level, many of us have realized how much space matters during this period as we stare at the four walls of our home. There's a reason why the home improvement sector is booming. With all that time, our eyes wander to the next project. What other improvements can we make to our personal space, to our home offices, to our yards? And yet, as the pandemic took us out of the synagogue, we made each of our homes into a mikdash me'at, a miniature sanctuary, one full of life, the good and the bad, full of laughter, but also tears and arguments and breakdowns, sanctifying time as Judaism has for thousands of years, no matter the obstacles. Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel famously quipped that our holy days are sanctuaries in time. Instead of building monuments that reach to the heavens like the ill-fated biblical Tower of Babel, we build cathedrals in time. We now find ourselves in one such cathedral. And through unfortunate circumstances out of our control, we resurrect the tender blessings from the yet smoldering curse of this pandemic, the yet rain-drenched drama of this storm. Our people have done this for thousands of years from time immemorial. We continue that sacred tradition now. The Talmud tells the story of Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, Upon leaving Jerusalem with Rabbi Joshua behind him, they saw the rubble, the destruction of the Holy Temple. Rabbi Joshua wailed, "Woe to us, for it is destroyed." It was at the temple where our people would bring sacrifices and their sins would be forgiven. If this is ruined, so too are we ruined. This pinnacle moment could have spelled the end for Judaism. One moment, it would have been so easy to lament their lot, accept defeat, and move on, leaving their Judaism behind. After all, how could Judaism possibly continue, let alone thrive, without this unique and fundamental access point to God and God's grace and forgiveness? Rabbi Yochanan turned to his wise friend and said, "My son, do not be distressed, for we have a different form of atonement just like it." "What is it?" Rabbi Joshua asked. He responded, "Gemilut chasadim," acts of loving kindness. He emphasized his point with a quote from the book of Psalms, "For I desire kindness, not any kind of animal offering." Bricks may give the illusion of permanence, but those are not the foundation of our people's resilience and success. When other ancient civilizations have gone to the dustbins of history, we remain. Our Jewish people, so targeted by persecution, acts of terror, and intolerance of every stripe, have persevered and reinvented our Judaism and our spiritual lives at every turn. The richness and the beauty of our culture endures no matter what our Judaism has looked like in 5780, no matter the Zoom Seder, the screen shares, the internet blips, or the Brady Bunch boxes. It has been great because we make it so. And as Am HaNetzach, the eternal people, our Judaism is forever. It evolves and molds with us and the times. Lest we forget, the modern state of Israel reminds us with the name of her national anthem, Hatikva, the hope. Poet Morgan Harper Nichols teaches that hope is not wishful thinking. Hope is the audacity to believe that after all I have been through, the wind and the rain, there is more ahead. 5781 will be a better year. Hope. It is the incurable Jewish condition. And I know this to be true. These past few weeks, once again, we have heard our toddler son, Raphael, running down the hall of the synagogue with his four best friends, the pitter-patter of those mischievous feet, that first semblance of normal life after a long spring and summer, reminding us of hope, of the better days to come. As the sound of the shofar that we will hear tomorrow reminds us to wake up and live our lives intentionally and with purpose, we know there is so much more ahead. The liturgy of this day says, Hayom Harat Olam. Today is the birthday of the world. But lest we forget, it's not just today. Our tradition teaches that every moment God creates the world anew. Each moment, just as our Talmudic rabbis taught, is a moment to choose blessing out of curse. As that poet Nichols also writes, a year from now, you won't remember everything you put on your to-do list. You won't remember how every single second was spent and the moments you felt the most productive. But you will remember how you felt when you felt loved and seen. You will remember those people who you were able to show love to, even when it was on the other side of a screen. You will remember that even though you had moments of restlessness, worry, and fear, it also took courage and strength, love and compassion to make it another year. And you did it. You marked that transition through lighting candles and Rosh Hashanah dinner, even if it was a couple of days late, through the blast of the shofar and the sound of a familiar tune. So many of us have been saying that 2020 is the worst year ever. A global pandemic still taking a ghastly toll, a reckoning of race and racism unparalleled in this country, images of riots and violence, hurricanes wreaking havoc on our southern coast, divisive rhetoric coming from every direction. No, 2020 has not been a good year so far. Lucky for us as Jews, we have the chance to start our year a little early, a bit before the rest of the world. This 5781, we remember when all else vanished, our Judaism, our community endured. As we commit ourselves to another year, this knowledge will help us weather and overcome any storm on the horizon. Shana Tova. We continue. I ask that if you're able to, please rise for the words of the Amidah, our standing prayer on page 42. We continue on page 52 towards the bottom of the page, page 52. You are holy, your name is awe, there is nothing divine beyond you. As the prophet Isaiah taught, the source of all might is exalted through justice, the God of holiness made holy through righteousness. We continue on page 54. In your love, eternal our God, you have given us this day of remembrance, a day for the shofar's joyful sound, a day of sacred assembly, a day to be mindful of our peoples going out from Egypt. I ask Richard Rose now to please read the English on the bottom of the page.
Our God and God of generations before us, may a memory of us ascend and come before you. May it be heard and seen by you, winning your favor, reaching your awareness, together with the memory of our ancestors, the memory of your sacred city, Jerusalem, and the memory of your people, the family of Israel. May we be remembered for safety, well-being, and favor, for love and compassion, for life, and for peace on this day of remembrance.
Amen. We continue with some moments of silent prayer from now until page 65. We'll join together on page 66 for a prayer for peace. I invite you to use the words written in this machzor, or feel free to use the words of your own heart as well. for peace on page 66, Shalom Rav. No matter where we find ourselves, whether in this sanctuary or through cyberspace, in each of our individual homes, we feel connected. We've all gone through a great deal this year, and we know that so many of us are in need of healing, whether that be healing of the body, the mind, the spirit, or the soul. And so we join together now, connected through space and time, for a prayer for healing. And Misha Berach can be found on page 73. We'll join together with 4 simple words. These words can be found in the middle of the page. El na refa na. These words that were spoken by Moses to God on behalf of his sister Miriam in the book of Numbers. Oh God, please heal her. Oh God, please help heal us now. On page 73, we'll begin with these words saying, and then we'll join together for some moments to mention any names that are in need of healing. This time we think of Charlotte Brinton, Mimi Grossman, Ellie Kromers, Murray Muchnick, Mark Siegel, and Patricia Silverman. If there are other names that you would like to add, I'll ask that you please feel free to unmute yourselves or share it in the chat box or just share it to yourself.
Judy Grooms,
David Weiner, Eli Evans.
Jennifer Sundberg.
We continue on page 75 as we prepare to say these words of Avinu Malkeinu for the first of several times during these Yamim Noraim, during these days of awe. Please join me a little more than halfway down the page on page 75. I'll begin, and then feel free to say the responsive indented portions from your home. Avinu Malkeinu, sustain our souls. Send rain to our roots. Help us find a way to pray. Make us humble and forgiving of ourselves and one another. Avinu Malkeinu, renew these words. Help us speak them with conviction and believe their truth. 100 generations have stood before the ark, and they lifted up their voices like flame on the altar, and they put their trust in kindness and justice, and they gave their strength to make the promise real. Avinu Malkeinu, we haven't forgotten. Avinu Malkeinu, bring us back to you. I ask, if you're able to please rise. We continue on page 77. Avinu Malkeinu, Shema Kolenu. Avinu Malkeinu, almighty and merciful, hear our voice. Avinu Malkeinu, Chatanu Lefanecha. Avinu Malkeinu, we have strayed and sinned before you. Avinu Malkeinu, Chamol Alenu Va'al Alenu Vetapenu. Avinu Malkeinu, have compassion on us and our families. Avinu Malkeinu, Kalei Dever V'Chered V'Ra'av Me'alenu. Avinu Malkeinu, halt the onslaught of sickness, violence, and hunger. Avinu Malkeinu, kalei kol tzar u'mastin me'aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, halt the reign of those who cause pain and terror. Avinu Malkeinu, kotvenu b'sefer chaim tovim. Avinu Malkeinu, enter our names in the book of lives well lived. Avinu Malkeinu, chadesh aleinu shana tova. Avinu Malkeinu, renew for us a year of goodness. Avinu Malkeinu, chonenu v'anenu ki ein banu ma'asim. Asay manu tzedakah v'chesed v'hoshienu. Avinu Malkeinu, almighty and merciful, answer us with grace, for our deeds are wanting. Save us through acts of justice and love. That arc is a pretty nice feature. It's my first time ever seeing that. I'd like to ask the temple's president, Gil Layden, to speak some words to us.
Unmute. Did you unmute?
Yeah. Recently, I watched a documentary called Harbor from the Holocaust, the story of nearly 20,000 Jews who fled Nazi-occupied Europe for Shanghai in the late 1930s. It was a poignant tale aided by the vivid recollection of survivors who are now in their 80s and 90s. There was a sadness to the story, but there was also a remarkable display of resilience. Despite dealing with dismal circumstances, eventually they did provide religious services, schools for the children, and dance, theater, music, and other activities. They persisted in making the best of their lot as a Jewish community. It is reflective of our history of almost 6,000 years. We adapt to all that life throws at us. We keep moving, not just in a migratory sense, but in ways to enhance our lives. We share experiences with those of that common faith and culture and set of values called Judaism. The last time I spoke to you as your president, I was actually standing at the Bema in 1994, our sesquicentennial year, with a dark beard. Now I am sitting at my computer, appearing before you via Zoom. This time, alas, I have a white beard. The pandemic has challenged your leaders to be creative. So has Hurricane Sally, I might add. We have been providing services via Zoom with a dynamic rabbinical presence, first with Rabbi Howard Kosofsky, who was succeeded by Rabbi John Kaplan, and for the High Holy Days with Rabbi Natan Treep. The virtual experience is enriched by the stirring music of Christopher Powell, our music director, and Molly Adams, our cantorial soloist, along with the behind-the-scenes technical support by Andy Paoleo. We have an innovative array of programs on schedule. We will reach out to all of those who are unaffiliated, especially from interfaith households, in an effort to make all feel welcome and included. We're working on modernizing our public communications in this digital age. There is more. We want to continue to be a vital part of your lives and to emerge from COVID in a stronger position so that we can continue to fulfill your needs, much as those transplanted Jews in Shanghai sought to do, much as our forebears did, and as we aspire to do throughout 5781. That is our pledge to you. On behalf of the Board of Trustees and on behalf of Enid and me, we sincerely hope for a year of happiness and good health for you all. Hashanah Tova. I have a few announcements that I would like to make you aware of. Tomorrow, our services will continue at 10 o'clock in the morning. Again, Rabbi Treep will conduct service via Zoom. He will also be providing services this coming Friday night, the Shabbat Shuvah service by Zoom from Atlanta. On Sunday, September the 27th at 7 o'clock p.m., we will have our Kol Nidre service, again conducted by Rabbi Treep from our sanctuary. And on Monday, September the 28th at 10 o'clock a.m., it would be the morning service of Yom Kippur. We're fortunate to have a 3 o'clock musical interlude by Christopher and Molly. And then we will have our Yiktor and concluding service at 4 o'clock p.m. If you would like to have your loved ones' names read for the Yiktor Memorial Service, please submit this information no later than Wednesday, September the 23rd, either by emailing Susie or calling the temple office. I wanted to let you know we still have a couple programs coming up on adult education on October the 7th and November the 18th, first with Dr. Bert Eichel, and then secondly with Dr. David Miola. You can find more information about these in the upcoming Kai notes. They'll be coming out on Thursday and also in the bulletin. The next religious school has been scheduled for Friday, October the 2nd for the Sukkot service at 6:15 with Rabbi Kaplan via Zoom. And the Torah study with Rabbi Kaplan has been scheduled for Tuesday, October the 6th. At this time, I would ask you to turn to page 270 in your book, and I would like to read a prayer for our congregation. Eternal Presence, who bless our mothers and fathers, bless this holy congregation, a house of study, prayer, and righteous deeds. Together we give thanks for our leaders, those who learn, teach, and uphold the Torah, inspiring others to learn, teach, and uphold the Torah. Those who do the sacred work of building our community, may their service bring them joy, fulfillment, and purpose, and may they go from strength to strength. For our members, diverse in age, interest, and background, Jews by birth, Jews by choice, and those of other faiths who join with us, all who offer their time and talent, their love and commitment. For all who come here on this holy day of Rosh Hashanah to share the search for meaning and renewal, Your presence is a blessing, your friendship a gift. May the spirit of peace, dignity, and respect live within these walls, inspiring us to care for one another with compassion. And may we be a source of goodness, light, and healing for the world. May the one who blessed the generations before us bless us as we stand together this day. One congregation joined with all Jewish communities of the world through our prayers on this festival of the new year. Let us renew ourselves for the year ahead. Let us honor the precious legacy that is ours. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Gil, for sharing those words of prayer, as well as those beautiful words to the congregation. We now continue on page 82. I ask that if you're able to, please rise for the words of Aleinu. Please be seated. The light of life is a finite flame. Like our sacred candles, life is kindled. It burns, it glows, it is radiant with warmth and beauty, but soon it fades. Its substance is consumed and it is no more. In light we see, in light we are seen. The flames dance and our lives are full, but as night follows day, the candle of our life burns down and gutters. There is an end to the flames. We see no more and are no more seen. Yet we do not despair, for we are more than a memory slowly fading into the darkness. With our lives, we give life. Something of us can never die. We move in the eternal cycle of darkness and death, of light and life. Continue with the words of Mourner's Kaddish, Kaddish Yatom, on page 90. We have a few yard sites that I would like to share. Samuel Friedman, Jacob Koffler, and David Friedlander. Are there other names to add to our list of Kaddish Yatom, whether deaths in the period of Shiva, Shloshim, or in the past year of Hashanah, or a yard site? Please feel free to unmute yourself or share in the chat box.
Phyllis Stern.
Morton Schwartz.
Mark Miller.
Please join me. Sorry? Please join me in the words of Kaddish Yatom on page 90. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabba, be'alma divra chirute v'yamlich malchute, b'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chaye techol Beit Yisrael, b'agala u'vizman kariv v'imru amen. יהי שמי רבה מברך לעלם ולעלמי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו. לעילה ולעילה מכל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה דאמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רב אמין שמיה וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be for an eternal blessing. As we begin to conclude our evening Rosh Hashanah service, let's join together for some song, an oldie but a goodie, Ein Kelohenu, None Compares to Our God, on page 95. A blessing for the new year on page 98. Please join responsively for all the indented portions. Our God and God of all generations before us, may it be your will in the coming year to grant us a year of abundance and atonement, a year of community and compassion, a year of enlightenment, a year of going up in gladness to the land of Israel, a year of inner strength and well-being, a year of knowledge and learning for its own sake, a year of mitzvot and moments of sweetness, a year of optimism and hope, a year of quiet and tranquility, a year of song and spiritual growth, a year of understanding and unity, a year of wisdom acquired and exalted, a year of young and old reaching out to one another. Our God and God of all the generations before us, grant us a year of gratitude to you for the most profound of blessings, your gift of life. On the next page, Yehi ratzon milefanecha Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elokei avotenu v'imotenu, shetechadesh aleinu shana tova u'metuka. Our God and God of our ancestors, eternal God of all generations, may your presence in our lives this new year renew our spirit and renew our strength. May it be a good year. May it be a sweet year. Inscribed and sealed for a good year. Erev Tov, have a great evening. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow morning at 10 a.m.